Hi, my name is Noah. I have a passion for computers, and today I will be sharing some important information with you. Section 1. Parts of the computer. So to start out, I'd like to tell you about the basic parts of the computer. Many people today don't know what makes a computer powerful or weak. To start off, we have the CPU. This stands for Central Processing Unit and is basically the brain of your computer. The power of your CPU is measured in gigahertz, which stands for how many billions of processes the CPU can handle in 1 second. This means that if you have a 2.5 gigahertz processor, it can handle 2.5 billion processes a second. Now let's cover the RAM. RAM stands for Random Access Memory. You can think of this as the computer's notepad or workspace. This is where the computer keeps information that doesn't need to be stored on the hard drive. When you open up an application like Google Chrome, your computer copies the information from the tab you have opened and stores it in the RAM. This is why if you have lots of applications open on your computer, it uses a lot of RAM. Your hard drive is where you and your computer store all of the long-term data that you have. This could be anything like a picture, video, or that presentation you have for school or work. The amount of RAM or hard drive space you have is typically measured in gigabytes or terabytes. 1 bit of data represents a 0 or a 1. 8 bits put together makes a byte. So if you have 1 gigabyte of storage, you could store 1 billion bytes of data. If you have 1 terabyte of data, you could store 1 trillion bytes. RAM has less storage than your hard drive because it is only temporary, whereas your hard drive is storing permanent things. This is why you might see an ad for a computer that says, includes 16 gigabytes of RAM and a 1 terabyte hard drive. There are more parts in a computer, but the CPU, RAM, and hard drive are the 3 most basic parts. Section 2. The Internet. A vast, complex network of data. Every time you post something on Facebook, Instagram, or Snapchat, it goes through the internet and into a big data storage center where it's kept permanently. Everything on the internet is copied and stored. This is actually quite hard if you think about it. Just on social media alone, millions of photos are uploaded every day. That is a lot of data which needs to be stored somewhere. A growing problem that the world is facing is not having enough space to store everything. Okay, back on track. The internet. It's a great thing, don't get me wrong, but there are its dark places. Think of the internet like an iceberg. The average person uses the internet for school, work, or home use, and web browsing, so they only see the tip of the iceberg. Then there are the parts of the internet that you can't see. The dark web. Ooh, sounds scary, right? Well, it actually is in a way. Many hackers, phishers, and even, in some cases, terrorists lurk in this underside of the web. So what concern does it have with you? Hackers and phishers are the most prominent type of people on this part of the web. I think we all know what a hacker is, a malicious person who gains access to computers and can steal your personal information. A phisher is someone who will throw out bait, usually some free iPhone nonsense. Then if you click on the link, they ask for your address, email, phone number, credit card, social security number. If you are dumb enough to put it in, then they steal your information and sell it to others who can use it to get credit cards, tax returns, and even house mortgages. Now, I'm a kid, so why should I worry about this? Well, if you get into good habits of not putting your information out there, then you most likely won't do it in the future. So how do hackers get it to your computer? Well, there are many different ways. One thing that they need to know is your IP, or Internet Protocol. This is basically a name for your computer when you are on the Internet. An IP is a number like 124.24.64.233. Every time you log in to or connect to a website, your IP is used to talk to the website server. So what does this have to do with hackers? Well, let's go back to our Fisher example. There is an ad that says, "Free iPhone, click here." Let's say you click on it. Well, as we have learned, your IP connects to the website server, so in this case you just connected your computer to the hacker's website. Now, don't get too worried, most operating systems have built-in security features, but if you have a strong hacker on the other side, then you could be in for some trouble. Once a hacker has your IP, they can start feeding stuff to your computer through their website. This stuff can include viruses, ransomware, and programs that can kill your computer. Not good. One thing that you need to keep in mind is that before hackers can mess with stuff on your computer, they need your password. Have you ever tried doing something on a computer when it asks for the administrator's password? This is to prevent the user from doing something that could harm the computer. If a hacker wants to access your files, then they have to enter the admin or user password. Now, this is not true for all hackers. It is possible for them to access data without your password, but most of the time they need it. As you can probably tell by now, it is very important to have a strong password. Even more important is to store your data securely, so I will show you how to make your own secure storage with a Raspberry Pi. Okay, so how can hackers ruin your computer? Well, they could wipe your hard drive, which would be the worst as you would lose all of your data. They could actually cause a fire with your computer under the right circumstances. Now, this is pretty hard, but yes, you heard me, a fire in your house in real life. How would they do this? First, we need to go back to section 1. Remember the CPU, the brains of our computer? Well, this uses electricity to power it. If hackers ramp your CPU usage to 100%, then it uses more electricity, which makes a lot of heat. We are talking up to 100 degrees Celsius or 212 degrees Fahrenheit. You don't have to worry too much, as there is usually a fan or cooler for your CPU, but it's just something to think about. Another thing that hackers could do is put a keylogger on your computer. What's a keylogger? Just what it sounds like. A program that logs all of your keystrokes. This means that they can see your passwords when you log into your computer or log into a website. So how do we stop this? If you do these 4 things, you should be pretty safe. Number 1, don't click on ads or giveaways that say things like free iPhones or you can get $5,000 by clicking here. It's always going to be a scam. Number 2, go through your computer every once in a while and check your files to make sure everything is there. If you see anything suspicious, get rid of it. Number 3, invest in an antivirus software. I know this one costs money, but if you buy the right one like Avast, Norton, or McAfee, it can really save you down the road. But beware, many people scam by looking like the official site of these companies and asking for your information, so always make sure you are on the official site before you buy the program. Number 4, back up your data. This is one of the easiest ways to have a fallback plan in case anything happens to your computer. In the next section, I will show you how to make your own storage server for your house so that hackers can't access it. For backing up data, you want to typically do it every week. If your job is on a computer and you have lots of sensitive files, then maybe every once a day. Basically, you want to have a copy of your computer's hard drive at all times. Okay, so I think that pretty much sums it up. Now it's time for the hands-on part. Section 3, Building the NAS. For the final part of this presentation, I will be showing you how to build a NAS or network-attached storage with a Raspberry Pi. Let me explain first what both of these things are. So what is a NAS? A network-attached storage is a device that has room for you to store stuff and is connected over your home Wi-Fi network to your computers. You can buy a pre-built NAS, but they can cost upwards of $150. Today I will be showing you how to build one for around $110 at most. So, you will need a Raspberry Pi 3 kit, an external USB hard drive, and a micro SD card with 8 GB of storage. Okay, so first, what is a Raspberry Pi? The Raspberry Pi is a small credit card-sized computer that has many different functions. It runs an operating system off a micro SD card and outputs video through HDMI. It also has 4 USB ports, and it has a small CPU and 1 GB of RAM inside. Compared to other computers we have, it may sound like a wimp, but the Raspberry Pi itself only costs around $30. Okay, so you may be wondering, why would I want to spend $110 on the Raspberry Pi and the external hard drive when I could just buy the external hard drive and plug it into my computer? Here are the 2 main reasons. 1. The Raspberry Pi has almost infinite uses. People have made them into tiny little gaming consoles or into small laptops. It's crazy. 2. If you just buy an external hard drive and plug it into your computer, if there is malware, it could erase the hard drive. And what if you have multiple computers? For example, in my household we have an iMac, a MacBook Pro, and a Windows desktop. If you have multiple computers, it would be easier to go to the network folder, get your file, and then drag and drop it onto the Pi. More on this later. This way, if you just went on a trip and you took some cool photos that you uploaded to your computer, you can share them without having to make copies of the files and distributing them to individual computers. You just drag and drop and boom, everybody in the family has access to the files. Another beauty of the Raspberry Pi NAS is that you can create locked folders with passwords so that only you can access it. And finally, one of the biggest reasons for using the Raspberry Pi as a NAS. You can take it offline in an instant. Let's say you just got hacked. Your computer is crazy and your hard drive just got destroyed. Well, if you unplug the Raspberry Pi, then the hackers can't get to your stuff. This is the main reason for making your own NAS. Okay, now for actually creating the NAS. So, in order to build our NAS, we need our Raspberry Pi, a power supply, an external hard drive, a micro SD card with at least 8 gigabytes of storage, an HDMI output cable, a keyboard, a mouse, and a display. So to download our operating system, we need to go to the Open Media Vault website and click on the download button. Then we need to go to where it says ISO and click on the link that says here. Then we need to go to the Raspberry Pi folder. Then you need to click on the version that correlates with your type of Raspberry Pi. Here we have the Raspberry Pi 3. Then just wait a couple seconds, don't click any of the ads. And now our download has started. We then need to burn it to our micro SD card. We then need to plug our external USB hard drive into our Pi. Next, we need to plug everything into our Raspberry Pi and make sure we have an Ethernet cable plugged into our router. This will be how we access our data over the Wi-Fi. Then we need to head to another computer and open up a web browser like Google Chrome or Safari. We then need to put in our Raspberry Pi's IP address. This is basically its name. This will be something like 192.168.1.20. It varies on different networks. And then we need to log into Open Media Vault. The default username is admin and the default password is Open Media Vault. The next thing we need to do is mount or connect to our hard drive so that we can access data. To do this, we're going to head over to the File Systems tab. Once we are there, we need to click on our drive. It can then be identified as there is a label column which says the name of all connected drives. Next, we click the Mount button at the top of the table and hit Apply so that it saves the setting. Once we have this done, we should probably change our admin password. So to do this, we head over to the General Settings tab and then click on Web Administrator Password. From there, you can change the password so that the admin account can't be easily accessed. Our next step is to create a user so that we can have a password-protected folder on our hard drive. So to make a user, we need to head over to the User tab. We then need to click on the Add button and edit a few things. The name can be whatever you want. For this example, I will be creating a user named Elmer as our test subject. Now you need to fill in the name and password. It is optional to put a comment or email. Other than that, we leave the rest of the settings alone and hit Save. In order to store files, we need to have a folder that is available to a user or to guests. In the Shared Folders tab, we need to hit Add. Then we need to give our folder a name. In this case, I will be using Storage as the name. Then we need to click on the device that we will be using to store things. In this case, it's our hard drive that has 1.8 terabytes of space. Once we click that, we have to edit the permissions. If we want anybody to be able to access the folder, then we click on the drop-down and select Everyone Read/Write. This will give access to anybody who clicks on the folder, such as a guest. Now, let's say that you only want a certain user to have access to this folder. Then you have to click on the Administrators Read/Write, Users Read-Only, Others No Access. This will allow all users to see the folder, but not have access to it. In order to give access to a user, in this case Elmer, we need to go to the Shared Folders tab and click on our folder name. We then need to click on the Privileges button and edit a few things. Once you find the user you want to give access to, you simply click on the slider under Read/Write. What this will do is allow only that user to see and edit things on that folder. Now that we have our folder and user set up, we need to enable SMB/CIFS under the Services tab. To do this, we simply click on the Enable button and hit Save and Apply. What this will do is allow you to access your folder on a Mac or Windows computer. In order to have access to your folder, we need to add it under the Shares tab above the table. To do this, click on the Shares tab and hit Add. Then select your folder and make sure under the Public section it is on No and that the Browsable section is set on. Next, hit Save and hit Apply to save this. To access the folder, there are different steps for Mac and Windows. Windows involves an extra step, but it is not that hard. On a Mac, head down to Finder and scroll down to the list of devices. You should see the Raspberry Pi. Once you click on it, in the top right-hand corner, click Connect As and enter the username and password that we created earlier. For us, the user would be Elmer and the password would be Elmer. For Windows, the process is a bit more complicated. To connect our folder on the Raspberry Pi, we need to complete a few steps. We need to click on File Explorer. Next, we need to right-click on the Network tab and click Map Network Drive. Now select the drive letter, and under Folder, we are going to put // IP address / our folder name. So if our IP address is 192.168.1.20 and our folder name is storage, it would be / 192.168.1.20 /storage. Now we tick the box that says connect using different credentials. This allows us to log into our user so that we have access to our folder. At this point, we are done. To add files, you simply drag and drop, and you should be able to access them on a different computer as long as you are logged in to your user. Now it's time to start moving stuff to your new Raspberry Pi powered NAS.